Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Bill here for Classic Rock and Metal Review. That's right, we got a concert review, my first one in almost a year. Hard to believe, I've been to 230 concerts. For me to go almost a year is pretty rare. Merciful Fate, November of 2022. Last show I did a review for, I did see the Dead Milkmen December of last year, but I just had done a review of their show from 7 months prior, so I didn't bother with that. Anyway, this will be for the Doobie Brothers. They're on their 50th anniversary tour still. It's winding down at this point. By the time you see this, it might be over. The show was from October 8th, 2023. We're at the E-Tess Arena, formerly Mark G. E-Tess Arena. 7,000 seat place in Atlantic City, New Jersey. It used to be originally Trump Taj Mahal, part of their casino there, now absorbed by the Hard Rock that's now in the same location. I actually been to this venue twice. Crosby, Stills and Nash in 91 and the Allman Brothers Band in 2010. Now, you know, Crosby, Stills and Nash we had pretty good seats for. And it was 30 some years ago. I don't remember any sound issues really. Allman's 2010, sound not great. And I had decent seats for that. Looks like they've updated the seating, updated the aesthetics a little bit. Still kind of sounds shitty, and admittedly I did sit on the side, so try not to focus too much on the sound. It wasn't great, you know, but I had a great time overall. So let's talk about the show. I got some video I can show you, some still frames. First we'll go over the band a little bit, band situation, band history, what gets us from 1970 up to 2023. Try to summarize it as much as possible. Band forms in San Jose, California, 1970. You have Pat Simmons, Tom Johnston, on drums, John Hartman, and on bass, Dave Sjogren. That's your four-piece lineup. They put out a self-titled album in 1971. Completely fails to chart. I think Nobody is a single from that one. That's a great song, by the way. In 72, they get a breakthrough on Toulouse Street. A couple of songs from that one. Listen to the Music reaches number 37 as a single, and Jesus Is Just Alright gets to number 35. The B-side of that single, by the way, Rockin' Down the Highway, gets airplay also, so second album starting to work. The rest is pretty much history, but let's try to summarize it a little bit. 1973's Captain and Me goes double platinum. Long Train Runnin', number 8. China Grove reaches number 15. Gold and platinum albums follow throughout the 70s. Both hit singles and album-oriented rock stations playing the deep cuts. The Best Of comes out in 1976. Basically made some hits out of some of the B-sides and other songs in the eyes of a lot of people, including me. That was the first album I had from the Doobies, Best of the Doobies. Now the lineups, you know what? Might be a different lineup on every single album. If they went 2 albums without a change, that would be a rarity. And I think they did that once or twice. But in my opinion, man, every lineup's solid. The band just seems to truck on no matter who's in the band. At least from the early days up till the early 80s, really. Now, biggest lineup change, obviously, Michael McDonald. He comes in 75. Tom Johnson starts having some health issues. Actually, the idea of Jeff Skunk Baxter, the guitarist, and without Steely Dan touring, Mike needs a steady gig, and this is it. So he comes in as your keyboard player, also singer, obviously. Initially, Tom still in and out of the picture. 75. He's even in and out in 76. Part of the recording on 1976 is Taking It to the Streets. Of course, with his soulful voice, sort of jazzy, funky piano style, Mike taking the band in a different direction. Now I think a lot of people seem to prefer one version of the band or the other. I'm going to be honest, man. If you ask me to pick which version of this band I like better, 70 to 76 versus 76 to 82, that would be one of the hardest questions you could possibly ask me in rock. All right? That's how much I like Mike's stuff. Now, consistency-wise, I think the earlier incarnation of the band, those albums, are just better all the way through. However, Mike's version of the band, those 4 albums with him, got probably just as many great songs to me. All a personal thing, I know. So nevertheless, with the 50th anniversary tour and Michael McDonald's part of it, he had only been part of the 87 reunion and the 95-96 tour. That's it. So Michael McDonald hasn't been around for 27, 28 years. And, you know, obviously this was announced in 2020, delayed by COVID, and it was to be Tom, Pat, Michael McDonald, and guitarist, multi-instrumentalist John McPhee, who didn't join till 79, but he was going to be part of it too, as far as classic members, let's say. I actually balked at this, and I have no idea why. You know, I guess for one thing, when COVID delayed it, I didn't have to think about it. But when it got sort of put back on the road, I just kind of let it go. The tickets to this concert just went on sale this past spring, and even then I kind of balked. I almost bought tickets and I hemmed and hawed, and next thing I know, there were only sort of, you know, seats in the back kind of thing. The one thing I can say, my overriding decision not to go originally, when I saw them in 96, Mike was there. They really only played a couple of songs from the Michael McDonald era. Tom Johnston was there too, so, you know, pretty much the lineup we're talking about. Similar lineup as far as the big players at that 96 show. Just too much Tom Johnston era stuff for me. It all sounded good, it was fine. But when I saw them in 89, this show reminded me a lot like it. Almost irrelevant having Michael McDonald there if he's only going to play a couple songs. Now, in all fairness, it was a co-headlining tour with Steve Miller Band. So each band got 70 minutes or 75 minutes. So I guess they had to fit all their bigger hits, biggest hits in that shorter show. So it just didn't leave me with a good sort of feeling about seeing them. The importance of seeing them now with Michael McDonald kind of got a little left in the dust at that point. So fast forward, all right, to a couple months ago, and this whole lip sync bullshit going on with all these classic bands. I mean, you're hearing it a lot about the metal bands, you know, extending to the rumors, at least anyway, about the Doobies. One song live, I think the newer song, being accused of, you know, Tom Johnston being accused of singing it, lip syncing the one new song live. Which, I mean, what the hell, man? Don't even get me started on that. Then, of course, unfortunately, not too long after that, got announced Tom Johnston needed back surgery. Hope he's doing well, obviously. So, you know, once I heard that, I thought, well, you know, now I really don't need to see this show. It's not this big sort of celebration that it originally seemed like it was, you know, supposed to be. Anyway, in comes, for me, and I just did a whole like review on this. Got this a couple, maybe 6 weeks ago or so. Doobie Brothers bootleg video from 1979 Houston. It's the last show of the tour. And man, I really, really liked watching this thing. You know, it's pretty good quality and all. It's the entire show. A lot of Doobie's videos out there are half shows and things like that. And, you know, I just liked it so much. And this is John McPhee's first tour. Michael McDonald, Pat Simmons, no Tom Johnston. Started kicking it around in my head like, this is actually a really good opportunity for someone like me who really wants to hear at least half of the concert be Michael McDonald material. So basically, here's my chance to see this era lineup. Tom's gone, John McPhee's there. This is a 79 to 82 lineup as far as the big name guys here in Atlantic City last week. So as the event drew closer, man, I got a little more interested. I was actually working until 7 p.m. that day, so this was a real quick StubHub pickup of a single ticket and flew my ass up to Atlantic City to catch this show. So also went on Setlist FM to check out the song list, set list, and wow, 25 songs, roughly half Mike stuff, half classic Doobies, maybe a little more classic Doobies, but at least 10, 11 Mike songs. So, all right, man, things are looking like a go, and decide to go. And you know what? The other thing was too, when I was eyeing the tickets up a couple weeks ago, they were $70. They went up to $100. Just dynamic pricing bullshit. So StubHub, $50. By the way, beverage of choice, I have to work in a few hours. We're going to do a liver flush. Some good old New Jersey American water. All right, so I fly up to the Hard Rock. I got 5 minutes to spare when I get there. All right, I'll just get right in there. Everyone's probably already in. No, everyone else decides to arrive at 7:55, just like me. Now, I have a legit excuse. I just came from work. I don't know what these people were doing all day. They decided this line, 7,000 seat arena, 3,000 people were in line, at least. The line was so long I couldn't see the end of it, so I decided to just mill around the lobby area out in front of ETES Arena, which fortunately has a lot of cool displays, and got a cell from the Pink Floyd Wall album, which I used to own a cell from this movie. Well, bought it off my buddy. He wanted to get rid of it, and unfortunately I got rid of it. That was a stupid decision. Here's a cool cell. This was really interesting. Buddy Holly letter written to his parents from like a hotel room when he's out on tour. Really just awesome. Just staring at this letter that's how many years old now? 70, 80 years old. That was one of my favorite things. Joe Walsh guitar, but the star of the show, at least in this area of the hotel, Elvis's 1965 Rolls Royce, and a cool little blurb about it right in front that he got it right before the Beatles visited him, and it mentioned that John Lennon had just bought the same Rolls Royce a couple weeks earlier. Pristine condition. Awesome. So anyway, I get into the show. Luckily, the beverage of choice there, Hi-Li Cans, Cigar City, Florida based brewery. That's a stalwart, man. Stand by for sure. And $10 and they hand you the can. That's what's cool about casinos. None of this plastic cup. You know what it is. Plastic cup bullshit. That's right. All right, so I'm on stage right, up in the sort of nosebleeds. Although, you know what? You're really only like 30 rows from the floor anyway. Something like that. Maybe 35. So not a bad view, Sound sucked, like I said. Tinny, echoey. Side view probably didn't help that situation. Basically the worst sound quality I've heard at a concert since I saw the Allman Brothers there. And I even had decent seats for that. So the venue's got to update their sound, all right? Now the band themselves, on bass you got John Cowan. He's been around since, he was there I think like 93 to 95. He's been around since 2010, so I was kind of familiar with him. Now on saxophone you got Father Time, aka Mark Russo, and I thought he was coaching the Chiefs, but on drums you got Andy Reid, actually Ed Toth. Mark Quinones from the Allman Brothers, speaking of them, is now their percussionist, so that was kind of cool. And otherwise you got original member Pat Simmons, guitar and vocals, John McPhee, multi-instrumentalist, like I said, from the 70s, guitarist, fiddle, pedal steel, I think harmonica too, and Michael McDonald over on the keyboard. So nice lineup, enough build up. It's been 28 years since I've seen the Doobie Brothers live. They've always been in my top 10 of my favorite bands. Even when I've gone years without listening to them much, they just cannot be dethroned from my top 10. Their catalog's just too strong. All right, so starts out, Take Me in Your Arms, Rock Me a Little While. Good one to get things going, up-tempo opener. Previously, when Tom was on the tour, they were opening up with Nobody, first song on the first album. And that is an awesome song. I love that tune. So I do kind of miss that that's not here. Take Me in Your Arms kind of gets things going. I kind of got to my seat during this song. Here to Love You, first song on Minute by Minute, a Michael McDonald song. Now this one I could tell right away, right from the opening chords on the piano, or electric piano, that this was in a lower register. But the voice did sound really good. Song sounds really good. However, Mike doing his sort of staggered vocals where they're dragging behind the tempo of the song, sort of a la David Lee Roth, sings when he feels like it rather than trying to mimic the recording. So, didn't love that, but you know what? It's fine. Glad to hear this song. This is a really underrated Doobie Brothers song, Here to Love You. Sort of Steely Dan-like ending, I don't know, sort of winds down in this jazzy sort of way. So I really kind of like that they played it. Dependent on You's next, another Mike McDonald era song. Sung by Pat, pretty much a stalwart for the Doobies. Rocks enough, where I don't think the people that are more into the first era can't stand it kind of thing. Great song. I really liked hearing this one. Rocking Down the Highway's next. This sounded really good. I have to tell you, this was, I think, one of the best sounding songs of the night. John Cowan, the bassist, gets to sing this one on vocals. He sounds pretty good. Next up, man, we get a nugget. There were a few nuggets here in this show that I really liked. There's a couple of deep tracks by these guys that were played, and if I could have picked a couple, these are the ones I would have picked, actually. So this really went a long way for me. Neil's Fandango from the Stampede album. It's a Pat song. John McPhee does some cool pedal steel guitar to it. Different than the album version, from what I remember. A little longer, just different too. And man, that's a really underrated album. Stampede from '75. Next up, another Mike song, You Belong to Me. This one he does slow. Actually, I have video of this. I'll show you. It's right behind me here. More soulful. Again, that staggered sort of singing where it doesn't line up with the song. And it's a decent version. Cool that they played it. I mean, I love the song. Not fantastic live, but cool they played it. Next up, we get Slat Key Sokol Rag, little acoustic instrumental that written by Pat Simmons. Pat does this, of course, with John McPhee. And man, what really made the entire night, I don't know about you guys, is when Michael McDonald plays guitar. Is there anything better than when a singer or a drummer or a keyboard player get up and play guitar? I mean, to me, you can't top that. Actually, Mike's playing mandolin here, and to be honest with you, as much as I'm joking about it, it actually sounded good. This is normally just two acoustic guitars. I feel like every video and every bootleg I have of these guys, they play this song. I've never heard it with the mandolin also. The mandolin actually sounded good, and what do you know, Michael McDonald? Obviously, he can play it. Which is a great segue into South City Midnight Lady. Now, here's one of these songs that, because I stopped listening to Greatest Hits 30 years ago, kind of forgot, and I know it's on Captain and Me too. And I really haven't pulled that out much in the last 20 so years. Occasionally. But man, I really haven't heard this in a while, and it really sounded pretty damn good. Along with, Rockin' Down the Highway, this and Rockin' Down the Highway. There's a couple songs from the Greatest Hits. Haven't heard in a long time, or haven't heard much in a long time. They really kind of did it for me live at this show. The harmonies were awesome on South City. And more pedal steel by John McPhee. Now here's yet another nugget. Speaking of the Captain and Me. Captain and Me is one of those albums where it's their most popular album, I believe. I guess Minute by Minute might have sold more. But Old Days. And I have to agree. I think it's not only their most popular, but best. And from that one, you get another deep cut. Clear as the Driven Snow. Love this song. Another one that shuts the mostly Greatest Hits crowd up right away. I love when bands play those kind of songs. I'm into it. Me and 5 other people are into it kind of thing. Awesome one. And we're only a third of the way into this concert, man. And we've already played 8 songs. Really enjoying this show so far. It Keeps You Running is next. Now, the one thing they used to do live with this song in the 70s, all those videos I got with them doing this, it's just mellower, not as funky. This one is kind of funky, not so much synthesizer funky, just overall being played in a funkier manner. And it sounds pretty damn good. Eyes of Silver's next. This is a song off the Vices album from '74. It's kind of an interesting thing. This is a Tom Johnston song. He sung it on the album. When Michael McDonald came into the band in '75, they kept this song in the set list, and Michael McDonald was the singer, and he sounds awesome. It's almost like he wrote this song. Very Mike-like Tom Johnston song, Eyes of Silver. But tonight, Pat sings the first verse, and then Mike takes over the rest of it. So, kind of interesting, I like that they mixed it up that way. Next up, One Step Closer, title track from their 1980 album. And John McPhee gets to sing the first verse on this. Mike sings the rest of it. This band has a history of letting different people sing different songs live. Doesn't even have to be who sung it on the record. And that's kind of cool. I really kind of dig that. Cool to see that continue. And basically the Doobies, in a nutshell, talk about all their lineup changes. A band that's just greater than the sum of their parts kind of thing. And really, every lineup has something to offer, I think. So far, guys, we're only halfway through this show. And I'm loving that the set list is mixed up with Mike material, older material, deep cuts. I will have to say, some of the guitar solos, pretty sloppy. You know, just not smooth and fluid. And the sound quality probably didn't help because everything's a little tinny and piercing. And when they hit a bad note, it's just very noticeable at this place. But overall, great time. Next up, time for a beer run. Thanks to that setlist.com, I know that Michael McDonald is playing. I heard it through the grapevine next. And sure enough, he does. So it's right before my bladder literally exploded. Bathroom run, beer run. Mike did a couple of those Motown cover albums. So you get one of those tonight, mercifully. Heard it through the grapevine. Next up, Better Days, newer song. I only caught the ending of this one. Kind of caught the beginning while I was in line. This place doesn't have any like monitors at the facilities, so you can't see anything unless you're in your seat. But I did get to hear it somewhat decently off of Liberté. And I just read this in the program that I got there, that Chateau Liberté was the first club these guys ever played at. In the hills above Santa Cruz, you know, which is just bringing it all right around, man. That's kind of cool. The song was decent. I have to get the new album. I have to tell you, this concert's just got me on all things Doobies right now. And so, decent enough song, Better Days. Next up, Real Love, another Michael McDonald era song. I think it's from One Step Closer, if I had to guess. And, you know, at this point, you have those 50-50, maybe, I don't even know, who knows. But some guy, as I was walking up the steps, back to my seat, when are you going to start playing some Doobie Brothers? When they were starting in the Real Love. So you get those people, you're always going to get those people, I think. I'm not one of them at all, man. I love it all, as I've said. And now it was interesting, though, because when they did the band introductions, Michael McDonald got the biggest roar, even bigger than Pat, you know. And then when he starts playing songs, people don't like him. It's kind of odd. Minute by Minute is next. That's a really good version. Great song. At this point, I'm just loving life. Without You. Now, here's one that maybe the best of made a hit out of. Was on the Best of the Doobies Volume 1. You know, another song from The Captain and Me. Awesome album. This one, I love. I never stopped liking this one. Only because, you know, it might have been on Best of the Doobies, but it wasn't getting pounded down your throat on the radio like most of that album. Personal favorite, love it. I actually consider this a deep cut, even though it's on Best of the Doobies. All right, concert proper's about to end. Jesus Is Just All Right. Crowd loves this one. They're ready to keep rocking after Without You. The guitar, again, a little sloppy on the solo, but overall, the song's really good. Finally, What a Fool Believes. I think even the mic detractors can't deny the greatness of this song. Again, more of those staggered vocals from Mike. You know, I guess I just have to admit, I don't think he can keep up with what he used to be able to do. He has to wind up, you know, and rear back to find that little something to get to where he was. So it takes him a little longer to get there than he can't keep pace with the song, but at least what he's singing does sound good. Guys, we're already at the back end of the show. There's still 6 more songs to go. Most concerts would have been over by now. Come on, man, you know. They're really bringing it. This is really a kind of a throwback event. You don't see many classic rock bands going over 2 hours anymore. I know there's still a few, not many, you know. And if the ones I'm thinking of really haven't toured in a couple years. The biggest 5 hits come next. Long Train Running, huge ovation, great version. China Grove still sounds great even without Tom. Always be Tom's song, but they've always been able to do a decent version without him. Blackwater's next to get some sing-along action. Taking It to the Streets. I never really loved this song too much, but here you go. And finally, Listen to the Music. Gotta Be Your Ender. Some more sing-along stuff going on. You get what I consider like a bonus track. Pretzel Logic. That's always going to be in my wheelhouse. Steely Dan is a band higher up in my rankings than the Doobies. So that was awesome. I really love that, man. Another one that shuts a lot of people up, gets me up. Takeaways from this, guys, I'm really, really glad that I went. First time in 28 years seeing the Doobie Brothers. Really enjoyed it. A little sloppy guitar. Mike, a little struggle to get to where he used to as far as hitting those notes. But you know what? You got the unique 79 to 82 lineup here as far as the main players, with McPhee in there and no Tom. But you still have Pat and Mike. That's killer. A throwback 2-hour and 15-minute concert, 25 songs. That's nice, right? Overall, musically, probably an 8, all right? Not awesome, but solid and more than made up for by this great set list that also had, you know, these couple of deep tracks that just happen to be deep tracks that I absolutely love. But otherwise, a real cross-section of their entire, you know, discography. One new one Motown cover. My favorites from this one, Neil's Fandango, Eyes of Silver, Clear as the Driven Snow, Without You. Pretty much every Mike Ever song that they sang is great to me, you know. Cons, I already told you about them. The solos, Mike's voice, not what it used to be. But overall, man, I consider this a great time with my old friends, the Doobie Brothers. Wish I had something more, wish I wasn't headed to work soon. I'd have something more to toast these guys with. Thanks for doing this tour. And thanks for continuing it, even though Tom Johnston couldn't. I wish him well. And you know what? I think I want to see them again, honestly. So, one thing I just want to say. I don't know about you guys. I go in and out of waves with bands. I'm in one right now with these guys. Which started with this. All right? Yes, I'm obviously pro bootleg. But man, you know what? You ever hear the expression, there's no bad press? I think if you're a rock band, is there really any bad listening? I know these guys aren't getting paid for this. $30 I paid for this DVD. Houston 79. See the full review in the last video episode. That is what got me second guessing my decision not to go to this concert. Purchased a ticket, purchased a program, which is really cool. $10 I think it was too. I think because the tour's winded down. Went and purchased. Yes, I'm going to finally get past the 80s with the Doobies. Sibling Rivalry 2000. Just picked this up. I haven't even heard it yet. Also, now I know this is a bootleg too, but you know, Skunk Baxter's part of the best. I'm watching this right as we speak. Or it's in my player. You get my drift. You know, just sort of propels you back into the band, you know. And it all started with me a month or two ago with that bootleg Houston video. Guys, next up, Love You Long Time. Sorry for the interruption that was supposed to be next, but it's coming soon. And I think I'm going to actually have you guys vote on the following Love You Long Time because I've got multiple classic metal records, CDs recently, and I'm not sure which Love You Long Time I want to do next. So maybe I'll throw it at you guys. That'll do it for now, guys. Everyone take care, and I'll see you soon.